Good morning all. So welcome back to another day working on the bike. So I think this is either going to be episode 3 or 4. It's going to come down to how I do the clips. If you saw episode 2, then you're going to know sort of where we're up to. It's been a while since I've run you guys through it, so we're going to do a quick glimpse of what you're doing. So far we are dealing with a very large mess of wires. Luckily for me, I have labelled everything. The big things that I'm dealing with today is basically finishing this. So I figured out where all the connectors should be going, hopefully. I had to test the ignition, so I'm going to do that before I solder it. I had one connector that I, for a very long time, didn't know what it actually did, because I didn't label it because I wasn't very smart, but I have since checked up the wiring diagram, figured out what it is. Should just be the ignition coil, which is good, as well as the light for the dash, so sort all that out. I have my indicators attached to the rear now, which is very nice. I have a little control box with these ones because they do tail, brake and indicator all in one, just to make life a little bit easier. So I have to figure out which is which. I'm fairly certain red is brake, blue is running light and yellow is indicator, and of course black is ground. That one's easy. Similar setup up front. It's got yellow, blue and black because it doesn't do the brake lights, it just does a white running light. So I'll test those at some point, make sure that I've got the right wire set up to the right wire before I start soldering that, and yeah, should hopefully be able to finishing the wiring loom today, since I've now got even more cables run through the front of the handlebars. As it stands now, it's very colourful and very pretty, and yes, it's all going to get covered up, which would be good because right now it's very cry plague. Anyway, one thing I have managed to get working so far, well, I lie, I've got a couple of things working there, it's not finalised. I've got the headlight working with the high beam. I need to wire in the running light to go with it, which I'm just going to attach to the low beam. I've got the horn working, which is good because that was giving me no end of troubles the other day because I'm an idiot and basically had it wired a little bit wrong going into the control box when I didn't need to. The control box is mostly done, so soon I'll be able to move that back into the battery container so that I can just have it a little bit cleaner, and we'll be able to sort of just kind of run everything and be good. So probably going to be a bit more of a time lapse today because honestly what I'm doing is not super interesting or particularly technical. Everyone's bike's a little bit different. I've noticed that a couple of the wiring diagrams for different year models have different color wires, and of course I'm using different wires for all my handlebar switches in terms of color, so I could identify what everything is. I've also got most of it labeled now, which is good. So yeah, we'll get cracking and hopefully I can have the wiring loom done by the end of the day today, which is going to be very exciting for me because this has been the biggest headache on this so far, and probably and more than likely the biggest headache that this project is going to have. Good morning all. Back at it again. Not exactly sure which episode this one's going to end up in, but we'll see how we go. So last night I actually had a friend of mine come over who's a bit more familiar with electrics than I am, and we basically figured out what my big problem was. I couldn't get it to start. No idea why. Could not figure it. So we went through, we tested everything. As it turns out, my neutral sensors had it. It just wasn't getting a ground signal. If I grounded that, there's a little terminal, it's actually right near the sprocket on this bike. If I grounded that terminal on somewhere else on the case, I could get the neutral light on and the bike would start, the kickstand down. As it stands, if the kickstand's down and I have it in neutral, it won't start. So small things, that's fixable. I've got the part that I need on order, the new sensor. I need to replace another button because he was helping me test the push switches as well, and he broke one, but that's okay. Well, I should say he broke one. It was a bit of a team effort on that one, which it did pretty good on that. Anyway, so for now I'm putting the wiring on hold until I have all the parts I need, and then I can do final tidy up and that sort of stuff. So today we're going to work on fabrication. So first thing I'm going to do, well, I've started doing, is I need to put one of the pillion pegs back on. Because we raised the suspension, pillion peg doesn't fit with the chain guard, so I'm actually just going to make some extensions for the chain guard so that it sits up a little higher and I can get that pillion peg back on, just so that it looks complete, because I can't take it off the other side. So got to make sure I got them both on, because these are welded on and you can't just unscrew them, because that would be easy. So what I've had to do today so far, well, part of it was last night, is I have taken the front sprocket cover off, because this is where that neutral switch lives, just in here, and so that's done there. What I'm going to be doing, so this is the swing arm bolt, that's another mount for the pillion peg that I jammed just here. So I'll whack it back on so I can start getting some measurements for the couple of holes that I need to basically remake for the chain guards. We've got 2, 3 back there just behind the shock, so that one's going to be a bit interesting to get at, but we should be fine. While I'm in here, I'm going to do a bit of cleanup. Like this is actually cleaner than when I got this bike. Basically you couldn't see this half of the front sprocket because there's just mud and dirt and stuff all jammed in there. So I'll keep going at it with some degrees while I've got the chance, and I'm messing around with stuff. Front fender is just sitting on some spaces at the moment. I'm hoping to start doing that today as well. We'll see how we go for time, and hopefully I may even attempt the chain and sprocket swap today, if time allows and all that sort of stuff. I also want to clean up this little lever, potentially give it a spot of paint while I'm at it, but we'll see how we go. But yeah, that's basically where we're at so far, so I'm going to get cracking and hopefully won't bugger up too much, because it's mechanical stuff, not electrics, and I'm actually better at that. So let's go. Now, interesting thing that a few companies did a while ago, is back on some of these older bikes, they like to use Phillip head screws, which are notably fantastic for stripping. So I actually have not done these up particularly tight since last time. Because last time I actually needed someone to give me a hand taking it apart, because it was so ridiculously tight that I straight couldn't get anything to go on. So as you can see now, to get this to sort of sit up, and I have to try and keep it straight is the kind of idea, but I'm probably going to have to lift it about that far. So I don't need a lot, but I do need to lift it probably sort of 5 mils. It's going to bring it nice and close to that regulator rectifier, but you know what, it kind of is what it is. I'm doing something a little bit different
with this bike than most people potentially would by raising the shocks. You know, it's an old cruiser. Like, why? Why would you do the stupidity that I am doing? Who knows? That bottom one's going to be fun. As you can see, I actually can't even see the mounting plate for that now. Well, actually, I may be able to get away with one. See how this tightens up. I'm really looking forward to the event now. We're 3 weeks out at the time of filming. We're up to 3 weeks in, 1 day out from the actual event, and I'm fairly excited for this. It's going to be a really cool thing to do. Like, there's not a lot of riders going to the actual event that I'm going to, and I know that's not a big deal. I may get away with that because that's just sort of sitting on it quite nicely. It doesn't guard down there, of course, but that's not a problem. I actually got some new bolts, some new mounting bolts the other day, because like I said, some of these old bikes like to use screws instead, well, bolts without Phillips heads, so in my mind that's a screw. So I actually went and bought some Allen heads, because quite frankly I'm used to dealing with Allen heads on bikes, and if I can get away with, you know, modernising it up even just a touch to what I would expect on the exterior of a bike, I most certainly will. The only one I am a touch concerned about is this rear one, because of exactly where it is and how large it is. I didn't actually realise it was larger, so I'm hoping it's the same thread length and pitch, because I've not actually really taken this one off before. Not recently anyway, but apparently I have taken it off at some point. Okay, you get the idea. You guys know what I'm doing at this point. It's not complicated, it's not difficult. It's just a process. I think I might have just about gotten away with one. Let's find out. This is a different thread pitch. It's going to be a nuisance. Nope. Nice. Same thread pitch. Righto. Go get the Allen keys. Hopefully I can just get away with what I'm hoping to get away with. Now, I can't remember which head these are. That is mighty close to the sprocket. Shouldn't be a problem. Just of clearance. I don't know if I actually showed you guys, because this was a bit of an epic nuisance, was the tail lighting. So I've got brake, indicator and running light all in ones on each side. We've got these little running boxes. The wires in these are so thin that it's not even funny. I actually have to resolve it because I kind of wired them backwards, just on the end, because, you know, I was in a rush and kind of doing it at the middle of, well, not the middle of the night, but fairly late. So they're all wired up now, which is kind of nice. I've also got the plate light on there, some nice little illumination on there. It makes it actually quite visible in the evening, which I quite like. Some people, I'm sure, would have some problems with that when they're doing things they probably ought not be doing. But I'm a really quite, well, I wouldn't say a boring rider. I'm not big on stunts. I have never really done that sort of riding, so it's never been important to me. But I'm gonna find this bolt and I'm gonna put it back on, and I'm gonna see how we go now that we've got these bolts on, and we'll come back. Okay guys, so we are going to work on the chain. Sorry for my lighting, it's a bit atrocious, but yeah, the idea. So
we have the stock front sprocket, chain, rear sprocket. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say they've probably been changed at some point in the life of this bike, just because this has a master link rather than a endless chain that they like to put on the OEM ones, so that's a good start for me. So basically, let's try and go through the process. There's probably going to be a little bit of explanation, but we'll see how it goes. So first things first. So first I'm going to attempt to remove this clip and hopefully have the bike in gear to make life a bit easier. I don't particularly care about mangling this right now because I'm not using it again. I have a new chain and sprocket to put on. Okay, so hopefully this just sort of makes life easy and I can sort of knock this master link out. Yeah, they got it. Right, so from here it should just be as simple as this chain is a bit old. Bit stiff and being a bit underloved, even though I've done my damnedest to do all the good cleans, all the good oils and all that sort of stuff over the last sort of 12 months that I've had this bike, but that doesn't change 14 years of an owner who used to leave it outside in the rain. Not locally, but it's a fairly common occurrence out here. Right. Chain disconnected. And luckily for me, my rear wheel is doing exactly what it should do now that it hasn't got anything holding the chain on. And completely and entirely took it off. Rear. Well, what I'm hoping, these are going to be 10s, they're looking like they might be. So the old Viragos have a bit of an interesting mounting mechanism. On these front sprockets. Basically you take these two bolts out, this tension plate comes off and the sprocket comes off. Funnily enough, these sprockets actually don't look too bad, but you know, replace the chain, replace the sprockets. I'm also changing the number of teeth in this sprockets in these, because why not, quite frankly. These drive a little bit low in first gear, like it tops out something like 15 k's an hour. I think I've said that before, but it jeez, this is what I mean, guys. Like, I've cleaned this and I haven't actually gotten back in here before, but dang. So because we're here and we can now get at some of this stuff that we've not been able to get at before, get in there and give it a good old scrub, because then I know it's right. This project's given me a lot of those, given me a fair bit of insight into what people do and don't take care of on their bikes, so I know what to look for in the future, which is nice. Or at least I know what to try and go fix right after I get a bike. Like, I took this off when I first got it, like over a year ago, and gave it a bit of a clean, but clearly I didn't get in behind the sprocket. I think this is the first time I've taken it off. Oh, speaking of, I had a bit of a play in here when I was giving it a clean out before. Yes, this is probably the third time that I've cleaned this out for this project already. And found out, well, I didn't find out, but managed to make work my neutral sensor, which is kind of exciting that I could get that to work again, because that is going to make my life a lot easier in the sense that I can start testing basically immediately and get this carb tuned so that I can just sort of start going and getting somewhere on this project. I'm just doing a bit of tidy up on this poor bike while I'm at it. Like, it's going to be a bit grungy because it's old and never really been looked after. These are the sort of bikes that people tend not to look after because they're cheap, and you know, it's, for me, I take a bit of pride in any vehicle I own just because I like my vehicles. Quite frankly, I enjoy using my vehicles, whether it's just getting around day to day or whether it's doing them up or doing special. Like, this is probably going to be the first special event that I've ever done for a vehicle, but like, yeah, I'll take care of my day-to-day car, I'll take care of my day-to-day bike. This is probably going to be a day-to-day bike by the time I'm finished with it. So I'm going to tidy her up, make her all pretty, make her shiny again. Well, maybe not shiny, but, you know, tidy it up, make it look pretty. Have pride that I've taken care of my vehicle. Like, I got this thing. Oh, that's where that other round was. I was looking for that. I had wondered if that was in there somewhere. Not that you could see it past all the dirt and other refuse that I've found in here so far. Cool. So, new 17 tooth sprockets. I believe that's up 2 teeth. Nope, up 1 tooth in the front I've gone. I'm going to point the camera at this in a minute, but just to show you, like, this is just from the last little bit of cleaning that you've seen on camera. So this is all the dirt that came out just from that clean. That pile was twice as big the first time I actually cleaned this bike over 12 months ago. I was just using water for that. I didn't even use degreaser or anything. I quite literally got in there with a toothbrush and some water and a little bit of soap, and just got gunk out. It's atrocious. And this is not perfect, this little plate, but it should hold everything quite nicely. So with these, there's a little slit for this to make sure that that sprocket doesn't come loose. This cover plate goes halfway in basically and rotates so that it's locked in place, and then these bolts prevent you from getting too much wobble. Look at that. Just a little bit of play, as it should have. And look at that. Oh, pretty. I have to take a photo because, quite frankly, I've been updating my old man because he used to own one of these, and I think it's pretty cool that I have the opportunity to own. It's not the exact same bike, nor is it the same year model for that matter, but I had to have the same bike as my old man. I think that's really cool. You know, he's gone through storms. He had this when he was significantly younger than he is now, but I get to have the exact same riding experience that he had when he was younger on the same bike, and I'm in a better situation than he was, so I thought I would do something a little bit special to it. Now, what we're doing now is I have to take the chain guard back off. I don't have to take the chain guard back off, I want to take the chain guard back off. Because one, I kind of want to see what this looks like. Two, it gives me an opportunity to clean the thing and then clean it what's behind it, because that has never been cleaned so far as I'm aware. Like I've cleaned up this patch, this is what it looked like before, so already an improvement. This is something that I had a bit of a thought of recently. Like I've been saying that I'm really enjoying being able to ride the same bike as my dad. You know, and that was probably, you know, over 30 years, or probably, yeah, easily 30 years ago. Easily. He's only just gotten back into his bikes in the past couple of years, about 12 months or so after I got my license. He got back into it, and we went on a big trip last year, which I haven't actually done the video for that I said I was going to do. I have a stack of footage that I have done absolutely nothing with. Now, just to put this out there, guys, chain guards, they go over your chain. Look at all the crap that this has picked up over the years that no one has cleaned off. Anyway, so what I was saying, I think it's great, but by the same token, I, am presumably going to have a kid at some point, because, that's how the world works. May not happen, may happen. We'll see how we go. But I don't think that my kid's going to be able to ride the same bikes I did. I think that's a little bit sad, because, I quite enjoy it. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm sure they're going to ride bikes, because I'll probably still be riding bikes when I'm around them and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I'm not going to have the opportunity to use the old petrol-powered bikes soon. A few years, I reckon we'll be running electric, except for a few of us eccentric bastards who have decided that, rather die for petrol. I'm probably going to have something that I'm going to have a bit of sentimental value with, and we'll go see from there. So I'm going to give this a tidy up, guys, and I'll come back once I'm finished, because quite honestly, this is not going to be exciting for you. Once I get this all tidied up, we'll come back on and I'll attack that back sprocket. Alrighty, so clean up done. Next job is rear axle. Loosen everything off, make sure that I can get everything out, get this out, and change the sprocket on here. If I was clever, I probably would have, loosened these bolts when I still had tension on the wheel, but I wasn't that clever, so now I get to do it the slightly harder way, but that's alright. Got the help of my lovely fiance once again, because quite frankly, axles are a nuisance for one person, significantly easier with two. This is a very old feature that they don't do anymore. It's a nuisance. Cool. Now comes the really fun / sketchy bit. This is going to come towards you. Mm-hmm. The axle. Mm-hmm. Please grab it.
It's really
just need to keep hold of it still. Okay, how's that? You get enough purchase? That's okay. So, rear wheel mostly detached. Now, I hadn't thought about this until I came over to this side. But this has drum brake, which requires me to detach said drum brake, which I'm fairly certain are 10 mils. Rear drum brake now out. Ooh, they still big. I didn't replace them that long ago. Okay. Okay, so wheel extracted. Use the cable mess in the corner of the shop there, guys. The best I can do right now. So, just need to remove these bolts. I need a breaker bar, but we'll see how we go if I can get away with it. Yeah, breaker bar it is. Alright guys, so new sprocket, old sprocket off, tied it up a bit because I can't help myself. This sprocket goes on, nuts are just going to tighten on the way they were, and I will torque them down with my torque wrench and we'll get this axle back on and we'll, yeah, should be pretty well done. We just got to add the chain. And there you have it guys, put back on. So, a little bit later I'll put it back onto the axle. Right now I have a few bits and pieces to do with the lovely fiancée, and we'll pick this back up probably tomorrow at this point. I do have some other stuff I'm going to do tonight on the bike that can be done indoors, so we'll see how we go with that. And yeah, we're getting there slowly now. Well, fast now. It's good. See you soon.